الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Assalamu alaikum everyone. I hope you're all having a wonderful weekend, and today inshallah we'll be going through the lessons of the Tajweed as we started last week. We started picking surahs from the last part, surahs of the Quran, to go over the tajweed and of course the pronunciation, the perfect tajweed pronunciation of this ayat, and so we can get to know that learning Quran, to read the Quran fluently, is something that's easy, but you need someone to guide you. You need a consistent learning habits to achieve this goal in a very short time. And so we have accelerated the Quran reading program at our academy that helps students learn to read in 4 months. So check out check us out. Put a comment in the chat there, so we can reach out to you if you want to hear more about this wonderful program at Mahir Academy. So today, inshallah, like we did last week, sorry, I will recite Surotul Asr, and we're gonna have to go in depth also to discuss the tajweed of it as well, inshallah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. You all know that reading the Quran, reading Arabic is a skill that's been learned. You even being an Arabic speaker or being a native Arabic speaker doesn't make you automatically be able to read the Quran fluently. So you've got to learn the skills of reciting the Quran, learning the tajweed, and that's why we have this session, inshallah, every Sundays to go over the rules of the Quran tajweed for the surahs that we'll be taking every week. So I'll make this one after the other, and so we can go over each of the ayah. And as we are going through each of the ayah, it's gonna be a good thing for you guys to also check the meaning of those words and the ayats of the Quran as we learn them. So wal asr. So you see, there's a wa beginning the word, and of course, there's something in there that we have learned before in this group. We call them the alf al-wasli, or we call them hamzat al-wasli. So this is this symbol, this letter that you see at this point here. So let me make this bigger. So when you see this, is called hamzat al-wasli. So this alif al-wasli or hamzat al-wasli is not going to be pronounced. So you see the alif having something like this. Okay. So when you see an alif, alif naturally is not a letter that has a sound itself. And so because of that, alif will not be pronounced, okay, in this scenario here. And also, when alif is even actively being used is whenever it's used for elongation, for stretching letters. So we'll check on some of the examples here. So watch some of the videos we've done in our YouTube channel, Mahir Academy. Check it out. Or you can check into this expert Quran Fluency group to check those videos, or join the group to see all the videos of the past classes, which we've talked about all this concept of tajweed. So this is application time. So here now, this alif al-wasli is not pronounced, and then you're gonna join the wa together with the lam. So wal asr, and you'll see that when I actually stop on the ra, I give the ra a sukun. So this is the rule of stopping. So I gave the ra a half cycle sukun. I mentioned that this last week, that when you have a letter having a fatha, or having a kasra, or having a dhamma, okay, anytime you stop on those letters, you give them what? You give them a sukun. This half cycle sukun that's going to shorten the sound of the letter. Also, when you have letter that's having a dhammatani, or a letter that's having a kasratani, and you want to stop on them, you automatically cancel all those out and give those letters a sukun as well. I mentioned two exceptions. I mentioned the exception of a ta al-marbuta. When you have a ta, it's called a round ta. When you have it, in situations like you have it stopping on it, so you convert those kind of ta to a ha and give them sukun. So here we're going to apply the rule of stopping on this one here. So this is going to be a ra with sukun. Wal asr. Wal asr. You see, I pronounce the ra, kind of shorten the sound of the ra, meaning I give it a sukun. Now, إن الإنسان لفي خسر. Okay. إن الإنسان لفي خسر. I want to make this bigger so everyone can see this. Right? إن الإنسان لفي خسر. So the same rule that we applied earlier, this alif al-wasli will not be pronounced at all for any reason. Here, alif al-wasli is in the mid of an ayah or in the middle of the recitation. And so they will not be pronounced when they are in between letters in a word, or whenever they are in a continuous recitation, alif al-wasli or hamza al-wasli will not be pronounced. So check some of our videos that I've done over the months and years. You see, check in our Facebook group, check in our YouTube channel, you'll see those videos there where I explained the rules of hamza al-wasli and alif al-wasli and hamza al-qati as well. So this alif in this scenario here is not going to be pronounced. So here we know there's a lam and there's an hamza. So this one here meaning there's a lam, okay, and there's an alif, but the alif is having the hamza at the bottom, okay. So there are two letters here. So but the lam here is having a sukun. So the noon al-mushaddada, and we talked about that earlier. When you pronounce this letter, this noon with the shadda is a form of the most complete gunna. So when you do gunna, you use your nose to make the gunna. In, so two counts, right? In, so you count two counts. Innal insana. So you see this noon here also is called noon sakin. The noon is not having anything. So because here, the noon here is a shadda, it will be pronounced with gunna. In, so it's pronounced as if you're pronouncing two noons. So a noon here plus another noon here. So this is a noon and this is another noon. And so we're having to pronounce the first one as if it's having nothing, right? And the second one is having a fatha. And that's why you will have to do in. So you do gunna here to pronounce the noon with shadda. But you see here, this, so the meaning of the noon with shadda here, meaning the noon is doubled, right? There's a noon that's empty like this one, and there's a noon with fatha. So this is the meaning and application of the shadda. Now, when you pronounce the inna, so you're not pronouncing this alif al-wasli, you're joining the na together with the lam. Innal, so there's a hamza with kasra. Innal in, so there's a noon here, is a noon, it's called noon sakin, meaning a silent noon like the one we have here. And so this noon sakin is not going to be pronounced, but it's having a gunna sound. That's, and you do that for two counts. So gunna is not for two counts, right? Two counts of nonation sound. إن الإنسان لفي خسر. So I mentioned the rule of stopping on kasratini earlier. You give it a sukun because you stop on it. So you see there's a tiny alif here after the sin. So that tiny alif makes this sin longer for two counts. So these are rules of med. Our students in our program learn this from the beginning. So the way we teach our students in our accelerated learning program, we teach them the basics, letting them know the exact rules of recitation and from the beginning to the end of when you see a word, you see an ayah, how do you pronounce it? So we teach our students exactly everything I'm saying right now. And we also have more things to do in the class with our students. We have practices, we have homework, so we can get feedback from them. And we have apps to practice on their own as well. So this alif, what this is alif, this is med here. So among the things alif does is to make letters sound longer. And so some of you might be confused about what is this letter. This is an alif. It's called alif al-maqsura. It's a tiny alif because sometimes, you know, the words are contracted. So it's kind of written this way. So you have to know it's an alif. And when you see it right after a letter, it's always come after, it's always used to elongate letters that have fatha. So sa will go for two counts. Innal insana lafi khusr. Lafi khusr. So the ra is going to have a sukun because we're stopping on it. Okay, so let's move on. Illa. So you see the way I'm pronouncing shadda. A lot of people have challenge pronouncing shadda because they're not actually applying the rules of shadda. So shadda, it's an Arabic word, and in English it means doubling, meaning you assume you're pronouncing the letter twice. Okay, the first pronunciation is going to be a silent form. The second pronunciation is going to be pronounced with a haraka. So this illa, for you to pronounce the shadda on the lam correctly, you have to assume you're pronouncing the lam with sukoon and also pronouncing another lam with fatha. That's how you can pronounce it correctly. Illa. So they say I pronounce it. So I'm assuming I'm pronouncing this lam with sukoon. So it gives me that ability to actually pronounce the lam with shadda. So illa, illa. So you cannot say ill. So you cannot pronounce shadda unless you apply the rules of doubling to pronounce it. So إلا الذين. So this lam also is not pronounced as lam lam alf al-wasli ضغام لام الشمسية. So you're not pronouncing this alif here. So إلا الذين آمنوا. So there's an alif mat here making the hamza longer. آمنوا. So there's an alif here also. This alif here is not making anything longer because it's already having a full circle sukoon. And based on a lesson we've learned before in this forum, the full circle sukoon cancel out the sound of the letter. It makes the letter not being pronounced at all. إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات. We call this iltiqa'u sakinain. All these alif, they are not pronounced together with the lamp here. The waw also is not pronounced. Everything, like the only thing that's pronounced is the lu together with the saw pronounced together. إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق. So you cannot pronounce the shadda of the qa unless you do doubling. وتواصوا. So you're not pronouncing this alif as well. وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. بالصبر. So you're not pronouncing this alif al-wasli, you're not pronouncing this lam al-shamsiyya, because idgham lam al-shamsiyya. So we learned this in our program for our students. So, but this is something that you have to be aware of. You cannot pronounce this correctly unless you skip this alif and you skip this lam. So this is the rule of lam al-shamsiyya, and also because the alif al-wasli is not going to be pronounced. So because of that, we're only going to join the ba together with the sword. وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. بالصبر. So you cannot pronounce the shadda on the sword correctly unless you apply the rules of shadda, which is the rule of doubling. You can see this is something that when we look at it, it's pretty easy to read the Quran fluently, but you cannot be a fluent reciter without learning the tajweed of the Quran. And this is where we all need to work on. Even adults who think they can read the Quran, the best of the people who are those who learn the Quran and teach the Quran. So you need to learn how to read Quran fluently. I mentioned last week that people can have 5 degrees for a specific specialization or many specializations, but the zeal to actually learn to read the Quran and get connected towards it, you need to learn the tajweed so you can flow with it. And of course, it's good to learn the meaning of the Quran. And so this website is really a good one for those who wants to learn to read the Quran themselves and want to listen to apply the rules of tajweed. On this website, it's called Quran.com. You'll see all surahs of the Quran in there. Quran is called Quran.com. So you can use that at home. But you will have to have a mentor to actually listen to yourself, because you can listen to the correct recitation from here, but you will need to have someone to actually listen to your own recitation to give you corrections and to make sure that you're actually applying the rules that you've learned. Some people can learn on YouTube and learn all rules, but the consistency of learning, you cannot do it for yourself. Also, the application and the feedback, you cannot get feedback on your own. You've got to do it with a trainer or with someone that will actually train you to get the results. So if you're interested for a child to help them learn to read the Quran fluently and understanding the rules of tajweed, because a lot of people have learned the Quran but they cannot read with tajweed. And so if you want to give your child the edge and get them that excitement to learn in a fun environment where we have students learning as a cohort, students of the same age group, students of the same level, learning together, having quizzes, having games of tajweed in the class, having activities at the end of the week, at the end of the month. This makes them feel excited about learning. And not just that, we help them also to build a habit to achieve reading fluency, meaning tracking the attendance, homework submission, getting it done weekly, and having to track punctuality as well. And so sending a report to parents. And also you get to have to learn with our unique strategy that we use in teaching Quran reading fluency, building the skills. We have modules of Tajweed curriculum that you will learn in the next 4 months for a child. And also we have the retention, strategy. So building the skills of the Quran Tajweed is really the first strategy in learning to be a fluent reciter, and also having to retain lessons. A lot of students go to madrasa, they just go there, they come back home, no practice, no way to actually revise lessons, or they don't even have time to do it. Anytime they just go back the next week, or when you have to learn the Quran, you've got to revise and retain the lessons of the Quran. So in our program, we help students retain the lessons with a special revision class every week for each student compulsorily, and we help them transfer the skills as the child is learning all these rules I was explaining here. They're learning what is the shadda, they're learning what is the nun sakin, you're learning how to pronounce lam, alif al-wasli, or lam that's not going to be pronounced, lam al-qamariya, lam shamsiya. You get to practice that in the class so teacher can hear you. You get to do homework as well so you can read and develop some confidence to read yourself, inshallah. So this will bring us to the end of this recitation today and this class. I'll read this surah again and we'll end the class, inshallah. And so if you're interested, we have new cohort of students joining us next week. If you're one of those who are really excited about Quran Tajweed, join us in this accelerated reading program at our academy. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. جزاكم الله خير. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.